Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. Every bit of support is greatly appreciated. Now let's get to the video. No long ass intro this time. Let's just do it. You know why I went for the gorgeous year, you know, WallE, you know, let's do it. Pixar's output for this year was WallE. I'll be upfront and say that I don't care for this one as much as the other films in Pixar's generational run in the 2000s. As I've said countless times before, between Toy Story 2 in 1999 and Toy Story 3 in 2010, Pixar released some of the greatest animated films we'll ever see, at least from CG animation, all back to back. When Cars is the weakest film of the run, you know the movies were good. Of course, after Toy Story 3, Pixar started realizing, oh shit, we ain't doing too good, and released movies like Cars 2, Brave, Monsters University. They didn't do quite as good. But that decade-long span contained some of the greatest Pixar films of the entire catalog. And while WallE isn't my favorite of the bunch, I still really like it. Following a trash compactor robot named WallE, who's left on Earth to clean up after humanity's pollution, he lives day to day very lonely. He only has a cockroach for a friend, that's pretty sad. Of course, one day a female robot named Eve comes down to Earth to look for any signs of potential life on Earth. Why? Well, it turns out the humans are all up in space while the WallE robots clean up the mess. She finds life in the form of a plant growing in a boot, and her and WallE go back to the spaceship where all the humans are for some reason on that McDonald's Big Mac diet. God damn, a salad would do you guys great. But it turns out that the captain of the ship, or at least his wheel, a direct parody of HAL from 2001: A Space Odyssey, sees the plant and says, "Who put you on the planet? Can WallE save humanity? Fuck no, they can't even save their hearts. I know their arteries gotta be clogged." The biggest thing for me in this film is the animation. Oh my god, every time I see the first scene of WallE going to space, I just look at that animation and compare it to the first Toy Story and see how far they came within only half a decade. Also, I'm just gonna say it right now, SpongeBob lied to me.
Robots can't love.
The fuck they can't? Do you see that? WallE and Eve's relationship is very, very cute. And of course, the message of humanity dooming itself, if we're not careful, can absolutely be traced back to today's standards. I'm not one of those Earth preservationists trying to shove Earth Day down everyone's throats every year, but I am one who acknowledges that this planet isn't invincible. What these humans did to Earth is a very real thing that can happen if we're not careful. That being said, I think this is way in the future. Hell, I don't think I'll experience this in my lifetime, but that's not to say the next generation couldn't. It's these kind of deep messages that aren't even that explored that made these Pixar movies in the 2000s absolutely incredible. Not that incredible, not the reason I don't care for this one the way I like Ratatouille and The Incredibles. I honestly just don't care for the story. Specifically the middle part, when they're on the ship and they see all these humans and the things the wheel is doing. I don't know, it never really interested me. At least not to the extent of the other Pixar films at the time. That's really my biggest issue, but everything in the first, say, 30 minutes to the last 15 minutes are really, really good. It's what makes me realize this movie isn't just another Pixar film, it is really good. I'd say if the middle was a bit more interesting, this would easily be one of my favorite Pixar films, but by no means is this bad. It's still 2000s Pixar, and all of them were pretty damn good. Needless to say, this was another hit for Pixar. Damn it, I love this dog so much. Bolt was in that weird era for the CG animated Disney films where they weren't quite associated with CG Disney films now. It was before Tangled, to give you an idea. Chicken Little wasn't exactly a hit when it came out. It was actually seen as one of the meanest Disney films out there. The Wild is straight up the worst of this bunch though, but we ain't there yet. Meet the Robinsons was the first proof that these could be really good, with just the right writing. And Bolt is arguably the best of this bunch. Starring a dog named Bolt, who is the star of one of the biggest TV shows on the network. He's a superhero with a bark so loud he can actually stop vehicles in their tracks. I mean, of course, everything is fake, but the producers are so convinced that if the dog believes it, the audience believes it. To the point where even a boom mic being in the shot makes the producer flip out. That's actually pretty funny. I mean, I've gone to film school. Yes, that is absolutely something people will freak out about. But things get bad when a cliffhanger makes Bolt believe that his owner Penny is actually in danger, and he gets separated from them. On his journey home, Bolt meets a cynical cat named Mittens, who he believes is the sidekick of the villain in the show. That's pretty funny. And Rhino, a hamster who's a super fan of the show. Of course, Bolt figures out that he may not be the star of the show he thought he was, but that's not always a bad thing. Off the bat, I need to highlight the two main voice actors in this movie. John Travolta and fucking Miley Cyrus. In any other film, those two voices alone would get on my nerves. But not only did I immediately forget that was John Travolta, but Miley Cyrus really isn't in it that long, and she's not terribly annoying. The premise of this really gives a lot of humorous moments. The bit with Bolt begging for food, Rhino believing the show is real just like Bolt believes the show is real. This is a very funny film. I also like that you don't believe that Penny is just an actor with Bolt. Their relationship is very real. If I had one issue though, it's Rhino. I'm sorry, whoever voices him just isn't funny enough to make these lines work. Also, the third act misunderstanding thing is a bit of a cliche that I don't know, I just didn't care for it. But other than that, a solid film from Disney.
He couldn't have gone far.
Wait, Disney had another film? I don't remember that. What the hell could that? Oh no! Jesus, I think this was one of the earliest examples I've seen of a furry film. This was prior to Alpha and Omega, 2 years to be exact. I should probably mention this was Disney India, and it's not mainline, so in a way this doesn't really count, but it's still Disney, you know? Why did they design her like that? They knew what they were doing, they knew someone was gonna... Nope, I'm gonna stop before I get the straitjacket. DreamWorks had 2 major films this year, and I'd say they're some of the best. First, we got Kung Fu Panda. Do I even need to explain? I remember when a lot of people said this wasn't gonna be good. Like, the concept looks stupid, and Jack Black, oh, get refunds ready. But not only is this one of the most beautiful DreamWorks films out there, but it's also very funny. It of course stars Jack Black as Po, a panda who loves Kung Fu. By pure accident and doing nothing, he's chosen by Master Eigore as the next Dragon Warrior, just for the Furious Five to say, Rev, do something! But of course, Master Shifu, who's set to train Po, tries to get him out, but it doesn't work. But Po is determined to live up to the title, especially when Tai Lung, a student shunned by Shifu, returns. I don't think I need to explain how some of these scenes are genuinely some of the most emotional powerhouses of DreamWorks. The scene where Oogway ascends is amongst one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in a movie, period. Not just in animation. I mean when I say this scene is a top 5 most tear-jerking emotional scenes. The humor and drama really flows beautifully. It never felt like it was balancing one too much. Also, as I said, it's very funny. No joke, when I was rewatching all of these, there was a scene that I forgot about. It's the one where Tai Lung just looks on in utter confusion at such a baby trick of Po mixing up the pots, dude. I seriously love this fucking movie. I've gone on and on about this franchise, so I'm not going to take any more time, but I love this movie in and out.
My time has come.
Well, it's not as good as Kung Fu Panda. DreamWorks had another movie, Madagascar: Escape to Africa. It's still a very good film. The Madagascar series is amongst the most underrated in DreamWorks' catalog. And considering Madagascar 2 is widely considered the best of the trilogy, I'd say this one works pretty well. Following the New York Giants, that's still one of my favorite jokes in the trilogy, as they try to go back to New York but land in Africa. There they find Alex's parents. I wish I could find mine. Both of my parents failed to show up, and it turns out Alex is next in line to his father Zumba. Zumba, fuck. Such, the animals have to decide, do they continue their journey home, or do they find their new home? This one's easily the funniest of the trilogy. I like Madagascar 3 as well, but this one felt more natural with its humor. The villain is voiced by Alec Baldwin, which is perfectly fitting. You guys ain't ready for that conversation yet. The African setting is beautifully used here. This is weirdly the most cinematic of the trilogy. Honestly, I have no real notes for this one. Maybe they could have made the parents more interesting, but other than that, I really love this one.
Hop, shuffle, ball change, hip swish, turn around.
Oh, we ain't done yet, sorta. Nickelodeon released a TV series based on the Penguins of Madagascar the same year Madagascar 2 came out. I actually remember watching the premiere right after the Kids' Choice Awards that year. I remember the Penguins getting their award and in the first episode. Obviously, the show captures the Madagascar charm very well. Penguins all feel right at home in this show. Even some of the characters I felt were a little self-insert-ish, like Marlene, didn't feel out of place. And honestly, I can see why King Julian ended up getting his own show. He's hilarious in this. While obviously the animation isn't as good as the movies, I can't really fault that. It still looks really good for 2008 TV. A decent output from Nickelodeon.
Ohio!
We got Horton Heres from Blue Sky. It's gonna be a sad day when I eventually run out of Blue Sky films. This was in a weird era between the early days of Blue Sky and their pretty good run from 2009 to 2012. I'll go ahead and say I don't care for this one that much, but considering other Dr. Seuss adaptations, this one's pretty much the best one we got. Just trust me. Of course, it's about an elephant named Horton, voiced here by Jim Carrey, as he finds a little flower with a speck that contains an entire city. Led by their mayor, voiced by Steve Carell, I'll open fire if this is an Evan Almighty sequel, and Horton becomes determined to get them to a safe place. My biggest issue with this film is Jim Carrey. I love Jim Carrey. He's very funny and easy to make funny, but I don't know what it is about the writing in this film. He is obnoxious. The biggest issue is that they seem to forget that Jim Carrey is only funny when he references things in live action, like in Ace Ventura. In animation, it doesn't make sense. Listen to this line.
I feel the diplomatic process is beginning to break down.
Why the fuck did he say that? What does that even mean? Also, Seth Rogen is in this. His character wasn't even in the book, but Seth Rogen. Funny Seth Rogen, man. Also, the plot is just so jumbled for no reason. Who is this kangaroo? Why does Will Arnett voice a vulture? When did he come into the story? That's my biggest issue. It's not funny, but has a lot of funny people attached to it. It's not bad by any means. It's one of the better Dr. Seuss adaptations out there, but especially at a time when Blue Sky needed to prove they could make funny movies out of simple concepts, Horton Heres a Who just doesn't for me. Fuck's sake, 2 years in animation in a row that I have to talk about an open season sequel. And I'm talking about Sony Pictures Animation video games later on this month, so I'm gonna be talking about the open season video game. Fucking great, dude. I guess I can say open season 2 is the best of the sequels, which is like saying Krabs is the best STD you can get. It follows Elliot getting married to Giselle, only to get cold feet when he sees Mr. Weenie getting taken back from his owner. This leads them to Pet Paradiso, where they realize to get to Mr. Weenie, they need to go through an army of dogs, all of different personalities. While the plot is a little simple and it's not terribly funny, two things really help it out. One is Elliot, surprisingly. In the first film, he was voiced by Ashton Kutcher, and he was okay in that. But of course, for a DVD sequel, they couldn't get someone of his stature. But they got Joel McHale, who is also very funny. Actually, he does better than Kutcher, in my opinion.
That tree is huge. Like my antlers.
The second is Fifi, who's voiced by Crispin Glover, the guy who played Marty McFly's dad in Back to the Future. First of all, I find it fucking hilarious how he denied being in the Back to the Future sequels, but this and Epic Movie were just right up his alley. I'm glad, he does really good with the character here. So while it's not a good movie, Open Season 2 is good in small bursts.
Okay.
Cartoon Network had two major premieres this year, the first being Flapjack. At a time when Cartoon Network shows were just being weird to be weird, Flapjack was the king of that statement. With weird visuals, creepy imagery, and of course, the iconic scream that I've used in various of my videos. Flapjack is a great time, although I prefer Chowder. Ghibli had a film for this year, Ponyo. This film really adds to the sentiment of this being a gorgeous year for animation. Is this my favorite Ghibli film? Nope, not even close. But is it a gorgeous film with a lot of great visuals and some of the best from Ghibli? Absolutely. And the plot is just very cute. It's gonna be like D-Day for this channel when I reveal my favorite Ghibli film, also when Bad Guys 2 comes out. Oh my god, this came out this year? I remember seeing Eigore everywhere on DVD back in the day, and I never understood why. Was Tyler, the Creator's album really that good? I'm gonna be honest, I really don't understand this film. It's not bad, it's just incredibly interchangeable. It's just like any other animated film I've watched. There's nothing special about it, which is crazy because it's about Eigore. I don't even know, man. Well, 2 months ago I took a look at Jonah, so let's take a look at the other theatrical VeggieTales release, Pirates Who Don't Do Anything. I'll admit it's weird to me that this one's based on characters within the VeggieTales universe, but the last one was a Bible story. But VeggieTales have shown they're able to do non-Bible parodies in a way that still feels VeggieTales. Too bad they don't. Pirates Who Don't Do Anything is a case of a story that seems written for VeggieTales, but for some reason just isn't that well put together. The story and humor just isn't on par with other VeggieTales endeavors. Also, why are they calling my man Larry Elliot? Okay, they got me fucked up. This one's alright, but kind of lame by comparison to the other one. Delgo. Delgo! That came out in 2008? Ah, damn it. I remember my mom seeing an ad for this film and saying, what parent takes their kid to see that? I am so happy my mom was smart in that moment because I'm glad I never saw this. So, 17 years later, let's finally check it out. Yeah, this is dreadful. I mean, really, this isn't even remotely interesting. It's like this big epic fantasy story and Delgo exists in it. There's a lot of fantasy shit. Remember in my Skydance retrospective when I said fantasy is a good way to kill a film for me? This one is one of the biggest examples of that. It makes everything so boring in this. It's ugly. It's so damn ugly. Generally one of the ugliest animated films I've ever watched for this damn show. It's bad, plain and simple, boring and ugly. But hey, I finally have a connection to July 2025 and 2008. See, Delgo is voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr., who's also in the upcoming I Know What You Did Last Summer. Does anyone even care about that movie? Like, all of July's releases have a strong emotion from me. This film, I don't care. This shit looks like nothing, and they just revealed the old cast coming back in the trailer. I couldn't save that as a big reveal. Okay, that's enough. I've been on to this too long, Jesus. Well, it seems like we got one last movie to get through. Unstable Fables. I've never heard of this one. Maybe we're ending off on a good note, considering this is, the gorgeous years. So let's take a look. Breaking news! Local furry and degenerate Xander has announced his departure from the furry community after seeing something he claims is so messed up and so ugly he could not go into Diane Fox Simulator that day. This was the exit statement Xander gave the public. I've seen some things in my life. Feels like I'm raging inside. This time I'm changing my mind. I'm saying goodbye to the dangerous side. Sometimes you get That's just that fuck-ass Jelly Roll song. Now here's the weatherman with weather. It's raining! I cannot see! I don't even know if I'm looking at the camera right now. This sucks. Yeah, I quit. That was truly a weatherman moment. Now back to you, Xander.
Geico. 15
A Geico commercial? What?